accompanies, which should help bring their clan away from the brink of starvation and destruction. Easy enough, aye? Graham slid his glance toward Cormac, who had the endless look of a man suffering greatly from a bout of food poisoning. Graham loved his brother to the deep marrow of his bones, but boy, did Cormac need to lighten up, especially if he was going to gain the attention of any ladies present, specifically one intended for a Ross brother. Rising up before them was Rose Citadel, as snobby a name as the man who sat his throne there, Lord Eve. The towers and battlements of the massive stone structure were littered with banners and ribbons proclaiming the tournament and the long bloodline of English bastards who resided there. But Graham didn't give a fig about the castle. He was mostly interested in the tents that dotted the fields like spilled sugar on grass, and the many flags of the various men who'd come to fight, including their most hated enemy. But if they were going to be successful, he was going to have to get his brother to stop his incessant frowning. Graham was tired as hell from their journey, and though he'd dried a little bit, he still felt soaked from the pounding rain they'd had to travel through. If he looked anything like his brother and the two Sutherland men that travelled with them, Lachlan and Duncan, then he'd have to step up the charm to win over any lady, let alone one betrothed to a Ross. Luckily for Graham, wooing ladies was his specialty. It was even easier to woo them if they were already wed, or not saving themselves for a wedding night. Virgins took a lot more persuading, and he was going to have his work cut out for him getting Baston Ross's betrothed to take a ride on the Sutherland side. But even worse was how he was going to help his brother. That was a challenge that was likely to wear Graham out faster than any lusty wench. As if to prove that point, Cormac grimaced and let out a low growl at nothing in particular. Graham shook his head and stifled a laugh. "Lighten up, brother, else you'll be sending Brodie Ross's betrothed straight into his arms rather than yours." Brodie Ross was the eldest of the Ross brothers and the current chieftain of Ross. It made sense that Cormac, as a chieftain himself, would go after another chieftain's woman, though they hadn't exactly agreed on that point quite yet. For them, it would be about which woman suited better, or which of the foolish wenches chose them. Cormac slid an irritated glance at Graham. "This is never going to work." "Especially if you look at it that way." Graham pounded a hand on his twin's back, taking note of the splash of water that came off with a smack. "Think of this conquest as you would any other conquest. The only outcome is victory." Graham shrugged. "Or if it makes more sense to you, think of yourself as a 12-point stag, and some young 5-pointer has come along to steal your doe. Are you just going to let that weaker, self-righteous arsehole get your lass, or are you going to skewer him with your superior rack?" Cormac snickered. "By rack, do you mean his antlers or my bride-to-be's breasts?" Graham laughed. "That's more like it, brother. Show Brodie what he's going to miss out on." Cormac scowled. "I'll no be showing that bastard my wife's breast, brother, nor any man." Graham's eyes widened, and he held up his hands in surrender, trying to keep from laughing once more. "That's right, you'll know, so you'd best quit with all the scowling, else she'll no be showing ye either." "Point taken." Cormac shook the water from his hair. "Let's go find a place to set up, preferably well away from the bloody Ross bastards." "That's the spirit." Graham grinned at the Lachlan and Duncan, who returned the gesture, all of them becoming serious again as soon as Cormac spared them with his regard. "Enough nonsense, brother. We are no here for fun." "On that account I never doubted." They rode through the throng of tents, gaining glowers from some, nods from others, and what Graham liked most, being ignored from yet another batch.